I want to be in old New Hampshire. I want to go.
Hi. Hello. It's a beautiful spring morning. I got up early and I thought I'd come make this video about the spring 2025 issue of the New Hampshire Genealogical Record, volume 37, number 2. So I'm Ruth Craig. I'm the editor of the journal, and we have some really interesting articles in this upcoming issue. One of the articles is by Priscilla Eaton, and it's about a man named Daniel Spalding and his wife Phoebe Dustin. Now, Daniel was born down near the border of New Hampshire and Massachusetts, and when he was born in the mid-1700s, it was actually Massachusetts. But a couple years later, the border changed, and the town is now in New Hampshire, and it's also undergone the town name has changed in addition to the jurisdiction changes. So this is a very interesting story about a couple and the towns they lived in. They moved from down on the southern border up to what is now the most northern county in New Hampshire. At the time, it was just pure frontier. Daniel was one of the first settlers of what is now Northumberland, New Hampshire, and it also has undergone multiple name changes and jurisdictional changes. So this is just an absolutely fascinating story about a pioneer family, and it's extremely well researched by Priscilla Eaton. Every detail, even some of the family lore she examines, hasn't been exaggerated over time, and documented the life of this man and the life of the places he lived. Now, the second article in this issue is by Patricia Abbott. This is a story about a man named William Five Ballard. William also was born in Massachusetts, near the border in Andover, Massachusetts. And he moved about 60 miles when his family was enumerated in Andover in 1790, and then he moved about 60 miles away, mostly west, but a little bit north, putting him in New Hampshire, in Peterborough, New Hampshire. And he, what Patricia found was that much of the early information in narrative genealogies about this man was really grievously wrong. So he actually lived more than 2 decades longer than he had previously been thought to live, and he had a previously unknown second wife, and several kids from his second marriage. In a way, a sad story. Many of his children died young. For example, there's one of the accounts she went to is a manuscript of a minister's notes, the minister of Peterborough, and apparently he had 4 children who died within a space of something like 9 days. 4 young children died of diphtheria in a very brief period of time, and others of his children died when they were still children. So death is part of our ancestor stories, unfortunately. Also, a somewhat mysterious part of our ancestor stories is divorce. I don't know if you've had ever the experience of trying to figure out whether these people ever did divorce or what happened to them. But we have 2 articles that will absolutely blow your mind, and you see how much you can find about divorce. One of them is by Sean Furness, and Sean went through the old newspapers of New Hampshire. I know you've probably seen these, what they call wayward wives notices, where usually the husband is announcing to the world that his wife has left his bed and board, and sometimes the reasons why, and sometimes in one case, I think the wife put a bed and board, and sometimes they respond. Sometimes they ask to get back together. But anyway, these notices are just so fascinating. And then Peggy Hodges has written a context article looking at reading about scholarly articles about these so-called wayward wives notices, and looking into what they really meant, and what the situation was in our ancestors' times that led to these notices. And well, if you have any marital discord in your family history, this article will be of extreme interest to you. And then finally, we have two book reviews, one on murder, a book on murder in New Hampshire, and a book on divorce in Cheshire County, New Hampshire. So, hope you enjoy this issue. We're supposed to get a spring storm, or a spring sprinkle, so somehow managed to avoid that. Happy reading, happy spring.